I love that we have different like very Heroes Journal laptop cases.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like
You're like the leather
leathery.
hip cool.
Yeah.
I'm just the corporate shill with the logo.
Kyle's like the sticker bomb on the back of or on the front of the laptop. Pretty amazing.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm pulling up the live stream now.
Cool.
Yes, please.
Also, we're trying some news. We have Kyle just sitting in the room. You can't see him.
We need to update
camera.
the description. It's the second time in the row. It's been
Oh, it's just coffee time, doesn't it?
It does on Facebook. Oh, Kyle's got it.
Yeah, I guess you can edit it on there. It's right on YouTube.
Oh, great.
It says Wednesday live stream with Nick and Zach.
Hey, Janet. Hey, Sam. We need Heroes Journal car decals. I think the Sword and Circle
car decals, yeah,
would look good as a spare tire cover.
Yeah, I was like, car what? Yeah, I think that would look really good. We definitely have to make a different kind of sticker because that would not survive.
Actually, I had a frog sticker on my laptop. It didn't even survive being on my laptop.
Yeah, it's like all...
It's just the outline of a frog now. I don't think that can show the camera.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, how's everybody doing? We are like, would you say we're halfway through Magic Month? Or not yet? We've got to be
I think
close.
we're like a third of the way through,
Oh,
right?
really? Oh, wow.
What day is it? 27th? Magic Month began on the 16th. It goes, I guess we're close to halfway. Like we're 11 days into 32. So it's like a third.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe 14 days. I'm
Only
really
Magic
bad at
Month.
time. I know that today's challenge is to cast a cleaning spell. 5-minute timer. Clean up an area as much as you can. Which I haven't done yet, but I will do.
That's a good challenge. Yeah, we need to clean up a part of our house. I'm not sure what we should do yet. We cleaned the linoleum room last time for the last cleaning challenge, which is actually really helpful. I really enjoyed that.
Kimberly said we should do Heroes Journal mud flaps. Which would look great. I mean, the only problem is that we did Heroes Journal mud flaps, then all three of us would put the Heroes Journal on our F-350s, and we would have an even harder time telling whose car was whose.
Yeah. None of us drive.
Also, hello to you,
F-350s.
Melinda, from across the water.
Hey, where's Melinda?
I know. Melinda, are you in the UK or are you on Bainbridge Island?
Yeah, I thought Melissa was local.
Or in Seattle? Melinda.
I thought... Sorry, Melinda, not Melissa.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Sam said, it's been a Wednesday, my dudes. Indeed, it has.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Guys, at the beginning of the stream, I have to plug it. We launched our Facebook event today. So go RSVP. The Facebook event is for our Kickstarter campaign. We kind of announced the time. And we also did, if you go in there and you look at a little post, you'll see that we also kind of soft announced the names of the colors.
Ooh-wee.
Spilled the beans a little bit. So
That's some quality bean spilling.
if you
Yeah,
want to
Melinda
take
is
part,
in Seattle.
okay,
Sorry.
there it is. Much closer than a different country. If you want to take part in some quality bean spillage, go check out the Facebook event and check out the one post that is in the event. I think we have, what are we at? How many people are like marked going for that? I'm gonna check. It's always really hard to get to this. I think I texted you.
394.
Really?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Goodness gracious.
Hi, Melissa.
Wow.
Chris said he can't wait for Kickstarter.
That is amazing. Look, and apparently neither can these other 400 people.
Amazing.
Because they are really excited. I'm going to tag over to discussion. Yeah, I asked what color journal everyone was most excited for, blue or gray. I'm not going to drop the color names, but they are in the Facebook event discussion.
You're 100% going to drop the color names.
I am totally going to drop the color names. Yeah, it's true. The beans will be spilled. I'll tell you what, blue is definitely in the lead.
I think we knew that.
Yeah.
I think that was our guess, yeah.
Yeah, blue was kind of the accent color, if you will, and I think the gray was sort of a kind of like a neutral to, you know, kind of balance it out a little bit. You can't have two crazy colors released at once.
It is an interesting thing, I think, because I don't know. Is a Mountain Gray our currently least selling journal from a color standpoint?
I think so. It's probably pretty close. There's
Yeah.
definitely. I
Well,
don't think there's like a huge disparity. Like we're not like worried about it.
It's tough because there's balancing like doing people's favorite colors and getting their favorite thing. But I think from an aesthetic standpoint, it's really important to have that like neutral, maybe a little bit more subtle. I also think some people prefer journaling that way. Some people want to have like their favorite color journal. I think a lot of other people want the like, this is like a subtler thing. It's less like obvious.
Yeah, I mean, so gray was one of the OG colors. Like if you look at our very first Kickstarter, when we very first launched the project, I knew that I wanted a really intense like red color that was going to pop for the people that were kind of like a little more, we'll say, outspoken about their nerdiness and kind of wear it on their sleeve. But then I wanted something a little more like neutral and a little more kind of relaxed for the person that wants to kind of like, you know, conceal it in like a backpack and then like open it up and like have it explode with life, but kind of being able to have both of those things. Like we really fight hard to keep the front of the journal, the aesthetics, like very simple, very minimalistic. It's very, very intentional. I'll tell you why. I don't think I've ever really shared this explicitly. I kind of grew up like being a huge closet nerd, and that doesn't make me like special or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of people in the same boat. I grew up like kind of more so in like the sports world, like the jock world. But you know, coming up with like the internet and all that craziness, like
you came up with the internet.
That's why
I founded this company with Al Gore.
What am I trying to say? Like you probably
experienced. You grew up with the internet, yeah.
But I think that you actually see this in music a lot too, because I think genres in music used to be way more pronounced than they are now. And I think part of that is because of the internet. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I think being a nerd was a lot more of like a statement than it currently is. Because I think the internet has kind of like democratized everything. It's kind of blurred the lines between like everything from music taste to like personal interests, because there's so much information at our fingertips. Like there's not a lot of limitations. Anyway, in my life, I basically grew up on this fence where I was like, had my like nerdy friends that I'd play video games with and like, you know, talk about all my fandoms with. And then I had like my jock friends that I'd never like, I can never let the two like know about each other. It was like, I have to be like, in order to be popular, I have to be this way. But my true self, like my, you know, my closet nerd self, kind of has to live in this like compartmentalized part of my life, which is really sad. And I guess what I'm trying to say about the internet is I think the internet was like the first thing that kind of called everybody out. I think everybody, you know, was kind of like living compartmentalized and would like be a certain way around other people. But I think the internet kind of made it okay to be a jock who loves video games, or, you know, to have a smattering of music tastes or a smattering of personality traits that are all kind of okay, and can kind of all like live together in the same person. And so
I think so. Yeah. I love that.
The long-winded point I'm trying to make is the outside of the journal, you know, is supposed to look kind of cool, and it's supposed to look kind of minimalistic, for the person that like might be kind of a closet nerd, because I know I kind of am. Inside the journal though, it like explodes with all your favorite like fandoms, and I wanted something that I wouldn't be embarrassed about like taking out at work, you know, until I opened it. So that's kind of like, that's probably the subconscious design motivation that went into like the, you know, because there's definitely a lot of like nerdy journals that the outside is like just as crazy, just as intense, which is totally fine. I just know that we wanted to do something a little different.
See, I do like that element of it, but the reason I love the way the journal looks is a little bit different. And that's the part of me that loves collecting books and getting nice editions of my favorite books. Whether it's like a beautiful leather bound copy or like a Penguin classic where they have a really iconic, even like the J.D. Salinger books and like the Ken Kesey books have this really iconic paperback cover that, even though it's kind of a lower quality like binding, I just like, it feels so iconic, and I know exactly what it is. So I love the subtlety of like Cauldron Gray, and oops, did I just say the name of the Gray Journal on the live stream?
Oh my gosh, guys! Zach
Beans
spilled the
filling.
beans. It wasn't
Role
me.
reversal.
It wasn't me. Okay, say the other one now. Do you remember?
Maybe.
Put you on the spot. Yeah.
Mystic Blue.
Mystic Blue and Cauldron Gray. Yeah, Zach was probably confused because yesterday I made everyone I basically read through all the comments on Facebook and Instagram when we asked for what the color of the journal should be to the team.
It was funny because everybody else in the room, you were on the one track of colors, and then other conversations would start in the room because you were scrolling through. Yeah. It'd be 2 minutes later, and Nick's like, Cauldron Gray.
Yeah, I was like, Cauldron Gray that's the one. Everyone's
we're cool.
Everyone's looked out the window for a second. They're like, yeah, I like that. So
that goes into the extensive research process that is.
Well, people had some really good names.
I know. Ocean Spirit Blue.
Yeah, one was Archmage Black. A lot of people thought that dark gray was a black color, which I guess it could come off that way because it is fairly dark. It's not black. We will probably release a truly black journal in the future, maybe with a different trope. But for now, it's still gray. And usually the trick with the names is I don't think you want to get too in the weeds on them. You don't want people to be confused as to what the actual color is with the adjective you use to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we had some really crazy ones that sounded cool, but we realized to someone who wasn't following the Kickstarter, maybe they come along down the road and it's it's mountaintop battle fight gray. They're like, what? What am I?
Do I have to pay per syllable?
This sounds cool, but is this a different journal than the other one? So you kind of have to have it be descriptive enough to make it to create that immersion effect. You're not just buying a gray journal, you're buying a Cauldron Gray journal because this is the Astoria Magic Academy, and it's important that you have your cauldron. I
feel like we did a good job of threading the needle on giving magical names, but also very descriptive names.
Yeah.
I would read Cauldron Gray and Mystic Blue, and it's not I just feel it's strictly I have to know all this lore to understand what it is.
Right.
It just makes sense as a color. So I really like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like the names. And I'm proud that I can finally talk about them.
We had a couple of comments. Melinda coordinates pens, journals, and desk accessories with personal and clothing color palettes. Whoa. Which is crazy. So we're going to have to come out with some more journal colors to make sure you can wear whatever you want.
Yeah, I know.
And then Miranda said the subtle colored journals make it less intimidating to write in. Makes me feel less of a perfectionist. I feel there's less pressure. It's a really good point.
That's actually a great point.
And then Kyle said the colors need to be as shallow as a kiddie pool and as deep as the ocean.
Nice. Love it.
I thought we figured out how to get Kyle out of the live stream last time.
Love it. We do have to watch out for copyrights. Janet made a good point there.
Nick, may I interest you in a beverage?
Yeah, what do you got?
So I have 4 options for you.
Okay.
Yeah. You could drink a Happy Belly refreshing grapefruit sparkling water. It's option number 1.
Wow.
You could drink a Happy Belly grapefruit sparkling water. Option number 2. You could drink a Happy Belly grapefruit sparkling water. Option number 3. You could drink a Happy Belly grapefruit sparkling water. Option number 4.
Wow. I guess after narrowing it down, I will take. This one got damaged.
Did it really?
Yeah, that's okay. I could drink this one.
All
it
right.
might explode on me though.
Well,
here we go.
Cheers, bro.
I'm gonna tell everyone a fun fact that you can feel free to steal and disperse at your discretion. So the history of cheersing. Are you ready for this pretentious?
Whoa. I didn't know this is.
Are you
where
ready
it
for
was
this
going.
pretentious fact that I learned? So the history of cheersing. The reason people touch their drinks together before they drink them has to do with poisoning people. So what you would try and do is you would try and slam, and it was usually more of a mug like this, right? So you kind of have 2 people slamming mug whatever drink holders against each other, and the idea was to slosh liquid from one cup to another. So you'd kind of trade and you'd share You'd share a table, you'd share a drink, and that's kind of like where that idea comes from.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like if I'm poisoned, you're poisoned.
Sounds like a lot of breaking mugs, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they had ceramic cups back then. It was probably something like, I don't know.
So we got a really good question on Facebook. But first, I have to say, Wendy, we are not actually sponsored by Happy Belly Grapefruit with its refreshing, sparkling taste and 0 calorie with no aftertaste thanks to no artificial sweeteners. But if we were sponsored by them, that would be great. So if you work for Happy Belly or any other sparkling water, you know.
Yeah, it's not like you could go to their website and
Dude, if we could get a sparkling water for like endorsement.
So random.
But CM asked a great question. CM asked, refresh me on what the Magic journals do differently from our already established journals. So Nick, are we replacing our current Heroes journal? What is different about the Astoria Magic Academy, and how are they different from the established journals?
Oh man, this is such a good question. So, so very shortly, no, this the Astoria Magic Academy journal is not replacing the ordinary Heroes journal that we have out now. One of the most exciting things about this idea that has kind of been around for a long time, kind of like in our desires of what we want to do with it. One of the beautiful things about the Hero's journey is that it's a storytelling template. And so when you're studying the hero's journey, the key of understanding it is looking at it through different tropes. So the reason it works so well is that it can be a template for like a multi-billion-dollar franchise like the Avengers, right? Or it can be used at like a children's bedtime story. The template is relatively the same. You know, you do have some, you know, movies and books that follow it super closely. You have other ones that kind of delineate, but for the most part, it's kind of like the foundation of storytelling. So it would kind of be a disservice to that concept to not venture into other tropes. So here's where we kind of come in. Our mission here is to make people feel like heroes. And if all we're doing is trying to show, you know, like a one-dimensional lens of what that looks like through the one journal we have right now, we are missing out on so many other fandoms, so many other tropes, and so many other like imaginations that people have built and, you know, invested thousands of hours into. Like, I'm sure that there are plenty of like Harry Potter people or Little Witch Academia people that love these fandoms. And so I think our hope is that we can kind of make our own style of journal in that same trope, but not abandon the storytelling structure and not abandon the productivity bones that work really well in our journal. So yeah, so that's kind of the story side of things, right? Just on like a specs, like, you know, what are the kind of like differences? We really stepped up the art game in this new journal. So instead of the art changing every like 10 pages or so, the art actually changes every single page. So there is much more of like I almost call it like a flip book kind of a feel as you go through the thing, because as you go through the journal, because, you know, every single day there's something a little different to look at throughout the scene. And instead of the scene changing every 10 days, it actually changes every 7 days. So if you are a dedicated everyday journal user, then you could line up your journal to be used through a 7-day week cycle. And you would have a reflection section, and then you'd start over. So there's definitely a difference in like the amount of art, and definitely there's a difference in the story that we're telling. And you could definitely make an argument that this might be a journal better fit for someone who is interested in those tropes. Our first journal was very Lord of the Rings inspired, very Hobbit inspired, very like medieval storytelling.
High fantasy.
Yeah, high fantasy. It was all about kind of exploring, right? Getting outside of your little town, your humble hills, moving into uncharted territory, paving your own path, making friends and allies along the ways, braving the road. The Astoria Magic Academy is way more about, you know, learning from failure. It's about having resilience. It's kind of about the process of like going to a place as like a rookie. You know, you're not really exploring as much as you are kind of discovering like a new world, right? So it's you can definitely use both journals and the bones will be the same, right? Like you could have, we'll say, a 6-month goal. You could do 3 months of it in the first journal and then 3 months of it in the Astoria Magic Academy journal. and like the feel would be the same, but the stories are totally different. And Zach, I'm curious, like what motifs do you think really shine in the new journal, the new Astoria Magic Academy journal, that our original journal might not hit for some people?
Yeah, I think, if you think about the like high fantasy and let's call it like wizard school tropes have been around for a long time. Wizard school has been around for a lot longer than Harry Potter, though Harry Potter is probably the most ubiquitous. Same with high fantasy has been around for a lot longer than Lord of the Rings. I think that the thing that they share is they both live in like amazing worlds. They both live in really, really beautiful, strange, unexplored places that kind of have this hint of danger and like mystery, which is maybe true of every kind of great story. Well, it'd be true of sci-fi as well. I think where, high fantasy, it's like every story, we talk about this a lot on the YouTube channel, but like every story, and this is really true to the Hero's Journal, there's this idea of like external transformation and internal transformation. External transformation is like you defeat the dragon and like you claim the sword. Internal transformation is like you overcome your self-doubt and the thing that was holding you back in the first place. I think that in a fantasy novel, the emphasis is on going somewhere and doing something.
Yeah.
I think that in the wizard kind of setting, it's much more going within. It's a lot more of I'm in the same place. I don't really go anywhere else. Like once you go to wizard school, you stay there.
Yeah.
Once you go to the Magic Academy, you're there. And of course, there's things happening. There's still danger. There's still stuff you have to confront.
Right.
But it's a lot more internal directly versus like exploring this magical random world. It's much more like looking within.
Yeah, and I think that there was a lot more of an emphasis in the Astoria Magic Academy. There's more of an emphasis on your peers. Like the kind of cast of characters in this journal, I would say, has a much stronger presence and kind of emphasis on the story, which I think is important. Like in a school setting and like in an academy setting, you are kind of stuck with a class of characters. And maybe traditionally in this trope, there's like bullies, and then you have like your friends, and then you have like your professors. There's always kind of that little, circle of like school people that everyone's kind of familiar with. Everyone grew up with a bully. Everyone grew up with like a close group of friends, and like a teacher that you loved or maybe you hated or whatever. So it kind of taps into that universal schooling experience that I think everyone kind of has. And the hope is that it can kind of speak to some of those, the foundations of that. Like I wouldn't call going to school a fandom, but I would definitely call it a source of shared experience for a lot of people. You know?
We were just recording a video talking about like story archetypes, and like if you think about the Breakfast Club, right? It's like each one of those characters has appeared in 1,000 different places, right?
Yeah.
The misunderstood rebel who is like mad at everybody, but is really just mad at everybody because they're hurt, right? The ditzy blonde, the cheerleader who's like actually super insecure, right? The like art girl in the corner. I'm trying to remember, the quiet nerd, right? Those are all like the archetypes of like a high school movie. And like the genius of Magic Academy is it's like we're basically doing that. Yeah. But there's magic because magic makes everything better, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it's still everybody doesn't feel like they belong in the world for some reason, right? Yeah. The overperformer is just like an anxious wreck, right? The rebel just wants to be loved. There's all of those interpersonal dynamics playing out. It's about finding a place in the world that you belong.
Right. It really clicked for me. The magic trope really clicked for me when I think we as a team discovered at a very elementary, a very simple level that like the people that use magic in stories, they do it to manipulate reality. Like they do it to change what's right in front of them. And like allegorically speaking, like we're just kind of like, that is exactly what setting a goal and achieving a goal is. That is exactly what it's like. I call it a protest against what's possible. It's like you kind of plant your flag in the ground and you're like, actually, I'm going to change this part about my life.
Protest against what's possible?
Yeah,
Dude,
I've
that's
been writing,
a great line.
I've been writing the Kickstarter script, so I'm all hopped up.
Kyle, can you text that to me?
I'm all hopped up on the sound bites, but I was like thinking, that's exactly what magic is. It's like, okay, there isn't a bridge across this gap. I'm going to say a spell, and then magically there will be a bridge here. It's like that problem solving by, seeing the gap and not just being like, oh, okay, we have to go around. It's like, no, how can I tap into what I know about myself and the training that I've received or the studying that I've done and like use it to problem solve. And so it really clicked for me when I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what setting a goal is. And that's exactly what it's like to really push forward towards like self-improvement. It's like, that's modern day like magic, I guess.
I gotta read this comment from Feliciano. The form factor that works for me and that I'm looking forward to in this new incarnation is that these journals allow me to go beyond the idea of a checklist. It allows me to break into my own storytelling. It has helped me keep progressing in my goals to overcome so much of what I had struggled with. The character of you allowed me to reflect more upon my day for some reason, but that was the reason I found it comforting.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. It's like, I think, if I'm being really kind of cynical, I think our journal like really tricks you into being introspective. It tricks you into being engaged because I think there's part of our brain that kind of can like we associate with stories at a much higher level of engagement than I think a lot of the times we do in our own ambitions and our own lives. Like there is a reason that like, you'll find people in a movie theater watching a story. I guess that's kind of cheap because it's like there's been millions of dollars dumped into that. But even like a bunch of people sitting in an auditorium listening to one person tell a story, like you will see people, if it's a good story, you will see people completely like hypnotized almost by this, tale that's being told. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but like it taps into a different part of our brain, like when we start to get into a story. And so, modern productivity and modern goal setting and personal development is really, really hard. Like it's really hard. And a lot of the times it kind of gets downgraded into being just that. It's just a checklist. It's like, okay, I have to get this done and this done and this done. And it doesn't engage like the higher capacities of imagination or thought. And I think that that's one of like the, again, not trying to be cynical, but I think like using a journal like ours is like tricking yourself into opening a journal to be productive every day. It's like, no, I'm not writing a to-do list. Like these are my assignments that my professor wants for me. Like this is how I'm going to seize the day. Like this is how I'm going to get good grades at Astoria Magic Academies if I do X, Y, Z. Like something about tapping into that fantasy part of our brain without getting delusional, I think is really it's really a profound way to do personal development. And we've never seen it done, at least the way that we're attempting to do it.
Sorry, I got distracted reading the amazing comments
okay.
on
There's a
Facebook.
lot of good comments.
Yeah, I think too the other problem with the checklist is I don't think we talk about this a lot, that oftentimes stories only make sense after the fact. Yeah. That it's not until you've lived something that you can look back and understand how it fell into a story framework. Yeah. And by having a tool that's reminding you that you're living a story, it's easier to keep perspective. So without perspective, it's just like, do I want to do my to-do list today? Yes or no? Yeah. Versus like, do I want to become the hero of my fitness quest?
Right.
And like, I actually know that that's what I'm doing today. So you can kind of like almost elevate the perspective a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, if I don't go to the gym today, I'm not violating how I feel today. I'm violating my overall quest. Right. And like, I can't do that because I set out on this quest and I agreed to see it through. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
I also do. Yeah. Like because for a long time when we were developing the thing, we were looking at the hero's journey, like cycle. So it's like a wheel. You've probably seen some kind of diagram of it before. We kind of made our own, but we were thinking initially when we were making it, we're like, oh, you'll just plan out your goal. But like, instead of mapping out like little milestones, you'll just map out your own hero's journey. It's like, that doesn't work. Like life never goes like the way you plan it. And I think that that's actually kind of the thorn in the side, the Achilles heel, if you will, of like a modern day goal setting technique. It's like, it's not human. Like humans are not that linear. Like they're not that robotic. Like it's like, the SMART goal technique, where there's like thousands of planners out there that'll just ask you, what's your goal? What's milestone number 1? What's milestone number 2? Okay, well, if you do X, Y, Z for the next 90 days, then you will get to your. It's like, I believe that. I don't disagree with that. I just know myself well enough to know that like I am not that consistent. And I would bet that most humans are self-aware enough to know that like they're not that consistent. So you end up with a world where like all these people have these journals that are 10% filled out, and they like feel crummy about it. And so
because here are the 5 goals you didn't accomplish. That are the 5 impossible like trials.
Exactly. It becomes a totem for failure as opposed to like an artifact of what you accomplished. And that's like the difference between planning for for an unrealistic future and looking backwards and creating a story out of it.
Well, because life usually ends up being a lot more like a fetch quest. Right? It's like, oh, the thing I need to do is to like go to this place and get this thing. And then you try to go to that place and then the bridge is gone. You're like, oh, I have to like get the boat. But like the only person who has the boat is like this person. You go to that person and they're missing. You know, it's just every single time you try to progress one step further, it's like there's another trial or challenge in the way. And it's only once you accomplish your goal you realize that was the thing training you all along.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't really plan that out before.
Exactly.
You just have to set out.
Yeah. And it would be way too forced. And it wouldn't really make sense if you planned it out before. Like, because you don't even see that in like stories. Like even in stories, it's not like the hero's like, well, first I'm going to do this and then I'm going to head out here. It's like, okay, maybe if they do that, they're only setting it up so that they're going to fail drastically. So anyway, it's such a richer experience. It's a way more effective way to collect like the wisdom you gain along the road when you have these consistent reflection checkpoints. That's why that's such an important part of the journal. It's like, it's not just about using the daily pages, although, you know, you should, but if you just use it as a tool of reflection, like I wouldn't recommend anyone do this, but if you just like hate daily pages, but you love the hero's journal for some reason, just literally like, especially in the new journal, like you will go through the reflection questions and they're like super thoughtful, super good questions for you to ask yourself as life progresses. And by the end of it, we hope, like, especially in this new journal, where we call it like outro content, although I don't think we'd ever advertise it that way. But like, we realize like every single journal out there and every single goal setting technique is only focused on helping you set a goal. None of them are focused on helping you finish a goal, which is the whole point of setting a goal. And I'm like, it's just like, I realized that one day and it was so frustrating. I was like, no wonder there's so many half filled out journals, because like they help you get out, set out on the road, and they just kind of abandon you. So like it makes sense for us and our philosophy and our brand, because like a good story deserves a good ending. You know, and that's why outro content makes so much sense for us. I feel like I'm just pitching like the journal.
Dude, our comment section's popping off. You guys are writing amazing things. I can't keep up with all of them.
Yeah, sorry guys.
This is some really kind stuff.
I've just been on this like weird like pedestal.
Well, we're just excited about stories.
Soapbox, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited about the new journal. I hope you guys are too.
We're getting a lot of love for side quests. Side quests as being a really positive source of disruption.
We're getting some weird comments on the YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Kyle's like, you can't see Kyle. He's like sitting in the corner moderating. He's looking up at us like, what the heck's going on?
It's
YouTube has like looks kind of interesting in the chat. But you know what? Facebook is behaving just as good as they always are. All right, yeah, we should read some comments.
Scrolling back pretty far. Guiana also said hello to me a while back. I never said hi back. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt Nick. It felt inappropriate. But they said, I'm so forgetful during quarantine and the days blend. I go back to my journal all the time to remember what I did like 2 days ago. With the new art, we'll be like, oh yeah, on this day, this happened with the journal. It's a really cool point. It's easier to remember which day was which as the art is changing in the background.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that. You're like associating the art of that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so excited about this.
Dude, I'm so excited.
Because the art changes every day.
I'm trying to map out finishing my current journal as closely as possible with whenever we get the first.
I'm going to have to speed up.
I know.
To get a little more consistent.
Put a quest on pause.
I know. I think I'm still in Act 1 of my Royal Purple Journal.
Sam said, also, I can't use the Hero's Journal as a to-do list when I'm limited to 3 things, which is great because more than that, I get overwhelmed. I actually think that's a really important point. So I'm not super great at doing it. I'm trying to use 2 heroes journals at once. One to manage my actual work, one for like health and feeling and taking care of myself. And I would theorize that if I could even limit it to 2 or 1. If I just wrote down the single most, and this would get into like the productivity side of stuff. If I just wrote down the single most important thing that I could do today for the heroes journal, and I just did that, and I let everything else slide, I bet I would do a better job than getting a list of 12 things and doing 4 of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, that's not what I do. I don't let everything else slide. Boss
not.
Nick. But I do think that's the beauty of limiting your to-do list to 3 things. Like if I was only going to do 3 things today, what would I do to make my world a little bit better of a place, to do my job a little bit better?
Yeah.
What's actually most important right now, and not get caught up in, well, these are the 18 things I could do, some of which would help in some ways. What's the one thing you could do today that would make tomorrow tangibly better?
You made a video. I think it was one of the New Year videos that we made. And it was something, you said something that I've been thinking about ever since that video came out, which was like, it was viewing yourself as an irrational person.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
View
yourself as primarily irrational.
Yeah.
Not primarily rational.
That was something I'd never really thought about before. Because I tend to think, I'm like, oh no, I have a perfect grasp of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess my way of really realizing that is with the journal. There's nothing more honest than your past journal entries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or there shouldn't be anything more honest than that. And it's just funny. Like you look back on these journal entries and you're kind of like, man, like I can't believe how long it's been. Like I always find that when I am out of the rhythm of writing in my journal, I tend to think in my mind, I'm like, oh, I haven't written in there in it's probably been like a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
I'll go back and it'll be like 2 months. Yep. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like you like snap awake.
Like it's been like 3 days probably.
Where have
right?
I been? Yeah. You just get like, I don't know. There's just weird, nothing is more like obvious, like obviously irrational than like that kind of mindset. And you keep your future self accountable when you write in your journal, because it's like part of a narrative, right? Like I don't know. It's just so interesting to have that like as like a story and like kind of a time capsule of like honesty, of like, here's exactly where I was, and if you're tracking your goal, like that's one of the fun parts.
It's such a freeing belief too. Cause and this is the point in the video, so sorry if I'm double beating it, but if you can only see yourself as rational, then the only explanation for why you failed your goal is that you're a bad person. Right? Because you're a rational person. You're in charge all the time. You know exactly what you do.
Yeah.
So you just didn't try hard enough. Clearly, it's the only reason. If you are rational, if you're primarily rational and you're in charge all the time and you're in control, the only reason your life isn't going exactly how you want it to go is because you suck.
That's like that perfect recipe for just deep shame.
It's horrible. It doesn't work for anybody.
It's like the Powerpuff Girl, like the recipe for just like, hey, how do you get shame? I got a perfect homemade recipe for you. Yeah, you take 4 sparkling waters. No, it's like, and that's we kind of mentioned it earlier. That's like the productivity mantra. It's like, oh, you didn't achieve your goal. You must have not been working hard enough. You must have not been focused enough. Like, of course,
you don't have mental toughness.
Yeah, you're of course, like you're a person that's capable. Then why didn't you reach your goal? Well, like turns out you just weren't good enough.
Right.
What a terrible thing to walk away from.
Now, instead, if you start by saying, I'm primarily irrational, which means I don't understand why I do most of the things that I do. I understand some of the things that I do.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden it's like, well, what if? Because this is my theory. Like 10% of you is rational. 10%, by which I mean it's like, if your head looks like Inside Out, the Pixar movie, it's like the part of you that is like rational and can do math and make good decisions is in charge 10% of the time. And there's rough psychological studies on this.
Yeah.
What we normally try to do is we put that part of ourselves in charge of working on our goal. So that's the brain we live in when we work out. That's the brain we live in when we're writing.
Yeah.
That always fails because that part of you isn't in charge very often. What you have to do instead is you make that part of your brain in charge of managing your goal, which is like, how do I set up the structure? What if I started paying attention to myself and seeing if there's any patterns to the way that I act? What if there's, a pattern to me quitting my workout goal, or, a pattern to me writing once a week and then beating myself up for it?
Yeah.
And life gets a lot easier when you start viewing other people as being irrational too. When you can just say, this person is not rational. That's why they're treating me this way. That's why they're saying this thing. That's why they cut me off in traffic. That's why they're yelling at the barista. It's just like, you know what? They're just not that rational. That's okay. We don't have to be rational.
It's true. I think my journal entry yesterday, speaking of irrational, I just flipped the page and I think I wrote, we have 15 days until we have to turn our Kickstarter in. And I flipped the pin. I didn't write anything else. I didn't write the date. I just flipped the page. I was like, that was my entry for the day. Like, I know. And I just knew in the back of my head, because I've been using the journal for a long time, that I'm going to revisit that page one day and I'm just going to laugh. Because you can see it in my handwriting. You can see how frantic it is, and you can see how stressed out I am. There's nothing else on the page, and I'm like, this is a good story.
It probably tells, that page probably has more information on it than one where you filled out every single blank.
I knew in the back of my head. I'm like, usually when I'm stressed, or usually when there's a lot of pressure, I have to document these moments the best I can, as painful as it is. And even if it feels like I'm like not even saying anything, or even if it feels like I'm so foggy I can't even get anything out, it is so serving to my future self to record these moments, whether it's like a voice memo or a journal entry, or even just writing a frantic to-do list down. Like, because when I revisit that, it just tells me so much about myself. Like, we are way more, the hindsight 2020 thing. We're like, we get so wise, and we're like, oh, of course I felt that way, because 10 days later this happened, and that's like, you're just able to make parallels where, like, in that moment where, like, the fog is so thick you can't even see, like, right in front of you. Like, I don't know. I'm deeply thankful for those moments, and I think that the journal provides an inviting enough experience to collect those. It's like, it's not the kind of journal it's like, hey, only show up on your best days, only show up when you have something to write down. It's like, show up because this is becoming a time capsule for you, a story for you in the season of life.
By saying I need to show up, what you're doing is you're putting your rational brain back in charge, right? You're saying my rational brain says I write in my journal every day, even if I don't feel like it, which means you can then, you're trying to get our attention to get our favorite color, green.
Wait, who?
Amy. I've been really, Amy, I apologize. I have been reading your comment. I've really been trying to get to it.
Sorry, Amy.
I promise. Thank you so much for
Amy
being
wants to
so
know
persistent.
our favorite color?
I'm going to go with green.
Journal or just like, sorry, what is it?
Just choose.
Oh, she said she's sending a gift. Okay,
I know, it's amazing. It's really kind.
Honestly, probably like salmon. I'm gonna be that guy, like a pink orange,
but not terracotta.
Yeah, cerulean. No, yeah, something like that. Something like a pink orange. I really, my eye always like shoots to that color first when I see.
Kyle did not throw a paper airplane. He threw a USB-C charging cable.
Like, why didn't you just say something?
It's true.
I said, if this comment gets 5 likes, I'll throw something at
Nice. That's quality. That's a great choice.
I love it. That's why we got the moderator.
We have a couple of comments here I want to get to, talking about this. So Leslie said, unlike other planner systems I have used, when I open my Heroes Journal, I'm reminded that I'm not alone. Ooh. Even when the day is tough, the fact that I'm using my journal reminds me of the thousands of other heroes out there questing to and going through the same stuff. That's amazing. I didn't even think about the community element of going to your journal daily.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. I think is a really powerful feeling in any great quest. Like, I'm alone on my quest, maybe in the sense that it's mine, but the things I'm feeling and the problems that I'm facing are what everybody roughly who has tried to do this has gone through. I think is a really powerful, I can do this.
I wish more than anything that there was like a way to have like a real time understanding of like how many people are using the thing. You know, we're very far away from that, but like I was like doing a little bit of stalking on Peloton. So you guys, Peloton is like the super, expensive, like at home cycling like thing. They have like, they come with like basically like an iPad, like a tablet in there. And then there's like workout classes you can take and all that stuff. They actually started on Kickstarter. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that.
And they grew into this huge company, obviously. But One of the things I remember them saying about it being so cool was that in real time you could see like other people using the thing. You could see other people in the world kind of like taking part in the Peloton like workout room or whatever. I don't have one, so I don't really know what it's
They
like.
seem really fancy.
But I'm like, how cool would it be just for the sake of like a thought exercise?
There are 87 people journaling right now.
I mean, I'd hope it'd be more than that. But it's like yeah, you open up your Heroes Journal, your proverbial Heroes Journal, whatever it is, and it's like there are 1,000 people riding their quest right now along with you. It's like that's
really
kind of
cool.
cute. Like we're all adventuring together, like in our own ways.
We I'm going to keep moving through some of the questions. This is a question from YouTube. Do you limit your 3 things to only what the Heroes Journal is about? I.e., if it's about health, and are 3 tasks only about health? Some days I can't think of more than just run a mile. Kristen.
That's a really good question.
Can I jump in on it? You can jump in on it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer. Well, there are some wrong answers here. The wrong answer would be to put every possible thing on your as a to-do list and then not do it and beat yourself up over it. I think that you could use, there's more than one way to use the Heroes Journal. One would be to use it as a general day planner. That would be less of a specific quest focus. Your quest would be a lot closer to your North Star. So it'd be like, I have a journal where I don't really have a physical goal. I just want to take better care of myself and feel better physically more often. That's my quest. Because when I don't put active effort into taking good care of myself, I don't get good sleep, I don't eat good food, and I feel like crap. And I know that. So for me, I tend to make my list of 3 things based off of the question of if at the end of today I only did 3 things to take care of myself, what 3 things would make me feel the best about what I did?
Yeah.
I would say there's nothing wrong with only having one to-do list for the day, one to-do item. If you know it's just one thing, and if you do that one thing, you're going to feel so much better. Just do that one thing. For me, in my feel better physically, I need to do some writing. If I don't do some writing that's just for me and not for the journal, then I tend to feel like I haven't really taken very good care of myself or listened to myself. So my writing might be in there. It might be, today I did a hill run. I'm going to meal prep and then probably go for a walk. That's my list. I don't know what thoughts you have, Nick, because I would say if you have a more specific quest, like you have a goal, I want to lose this much weight or I want to start this business, that's where I would get a lot more tactical of I'm only allowed 3 things, maybe less, but how do I push the ball just a little bit further down the field?
Yeah. I mean, Zach, I think you nailed it right away. Like the only so there's 1,000 ways to approach a to-do list, right? The worst way, the way that should never be attempted, is the kind that is so unrealistic that it ends up backfiring you into a place of like shame, and then the journal over time slowly becomes a thing that like when you see it sitting on your desk, you feel guilty, you don't feel excited, or you don't feel like a warm invitation from a friend is awaiting you. So it's important to know yourself well enough to know what how you operate and how you approach when it comes to getting things done from a checklist. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely rule number 1. It's like self-awareness. The way that I do it is, so I actually, so the quest that I most recently finished up, or the journal rather that I just finished up, was a Wildwood Green journal. And my quest was largely around like, fitness, but really it was about like feeling better, feeling healthier. Mm-hmm. And so I usually every day would just put one to-do list item from that quest in my to-do list. And I usually put it where in the eating my frog kind of section, because maybe similar to writing for you, Zach, like I knew that if I got up and I was active every day, that even if everything else like didn't work out or it was like a really hard day, like I could at least say I took a small step on my quest today. If all else fails, I still ate the frog. I did the hard thing, even though it felt like I should have done 10 other things, even though like there was 10 other things demanding my attention, because I dedicated my quest to this thing. And I know it's important to me. Like I know it's my North Star. It's, it's part of that. Like I am at a minimum going to eat that frog and do like a one thing, Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean I do it every day, but writing it down every day makes it important to me. And so, yeah, I guess I kind of associate it with eating the frog. It's kind of how I approach the to-do list item. But yeah, I'm the same way maybe as, I think it was Alora who said it. Like I'll usually write 3 things, one of which will be directly tied to my quest at a minimum.
I love that.
and then like the extra stuff goes in my notes section if it's not as important. So yeah.
Yeah. Sam asked a question on Facebook, and she did at Zach. So, I wanted to answer it. Also because it was a great question. But they asked, how do you juggle between things that make you feel good long-term but crappy now versus things that make you feel good now but bad long-term? I have what feels like to me a really simple answer for this, and that is I have a mental list of activities I have never regretted doing after the fact. I have never once journaled and thought, man, I wish I put that time somewhere else. I've never once gone for a walk and said, man, I wish I had played Xbox. I have never once gone for done a workout unless I hurt myself and said, I'm laying in bed at night. It's like, oh, I can't believe I ran a mile today. I've never done that. I've never once cooked a meal and regretted cooking a meal versus ordering a meal. I can tell you that I have and do regularly do the opposite of those things all the time and really regret them. So for me, I focus on, I don't have I guess just over time, I've developed that sense of what those things are for me. But a lot of those things might make me feel crappy in the moment, but I've never regretted them after the fact. There are things in life that are hard in the moment, and I have a lot of regrets after the fact of I had that really hard conversation and maybe I could have prepared for it more, or I wish it had gone this way. But in terms of productivity, I try to focus on the things I know that at the end of the day, I will love that I did them, and I've never not loved doing them.
Great answer. Yeah, I literally don't think I'd add anything else.
Hang on, I gotta give Kyle some love on this one. This was a Kyle Zinger replying to Amy. The best part about the Hero's Journal is you can eat a frog and not mess up your meal plan.
Nice. Serving up zingers.
Oh, Melissa also got me good. I regretted walking too far away, then realizing I have to walk back. It's true. They're back again.
That's funny.
Love
it.
Man, these comments are amazing. People talking about so many things. Amber.
I want to drop something in here. I feel like there's a really good energy in here right now, and I've been wanting to drop this tip for a long time, and I always forget about it. It's just very down to earth if you have trouble with the journal. So one thing that I did on my first journal that I really got into a good habit of doing. So if you're someone who doesn't change your quest a lot and you're writing it down every single day, I will flip the page. So I'll go one day in the future or whatever the next day is that I journal, and I'll just write my quest. I'll just write it up there, and then I'll do that every time I flip a page, if that makes sense. So that way the next morning I flip the page and my quest is already written up there from the day prior or from the last time that I journaled. And it's a really convenient. It feels convenient. It feels like a good way. And it's a very kind of built-in way to where you're already writing your quest every day, so you may as well do it anyway. But you're also kind of being kind to your future self also, kind of as a built-in way. So that way, you flip the page, it's already written in there. All you have to do is flip forward to the next day's page, write it, and then flip back, fill out that day, close the journal, come back to it, whenever you're ready, and it's there for you again. So you're basically just writing it twice, and then you're kind of one day ahead all the time. I wouldn't recommend that you skip ahead and write it for all 91 days. That feels a little intense, but the whole idea is setting your intention that I'm going to write in this tomorrow. So I'm writing in it today, if that makes sense.
I love that.
A quick little hack for you guys.
I love that too, because it's, there's this sense of no matter how bad tomorrow gets, I have made at least a tiny little investment into that part of me, into the thing that I want to change. We had a question from Amber that maybe we could flip into talking a little bit about the mentor and wind down here, because we've been talking for a while.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But Amber asked, I realize you guys are busy for the upcoming Magic Journal, but have you ever considered printing the mentor's letter in a gratitude book where you open to a random page daily for a daily thought? I actually just recorded a video talking about the mentor, talking about the mentor archetype and then how we think about the mentor. And in that, I talked about the letter from the mentor. In short answer, Amber, we have thought about it. We have no plans right now. We love the letter from the mentor. We love the artwork that goes with it. We think it would be really cool to do something in the future. We we kind of have it, I call it like a little sacred corner of our business. Tuesday morning, we email the letter from the mentor. We never plug any product in the letter from the mentor. The only link in that email is to read other letters from the mentor. We will never move or delay that email. It's every Tuesday morning, just a little bit of encouragement. We actually have forgotten one. But we have thought about it. I think it would be really interesting. We're coming up on a full year of Letter from the Mentor in a couple of months here. Yeah, and crazy. We would love to do something with it. We don't know what that thing is yet, though, or the timing of it or how it would fit. But we've had people say a lot of really kind things. I would love to see it in physical form.
Zach runs that part of the business. All the Letter from the Mentor are all written by Zach.
They're written by the mentor.
Who's
Zach, a good friend of mine.
Zach consults with the mentor, and the mentor writes it and sends it to you guys. There has been some phenomenal responses to these letters over the past months, and we never really share them publicly because they're just like, along with the letter, they're just as like sacred in a way. Like it's like an even deeper level of, I think, what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. The work that we're trying to do, by making people feel like a hero. That's why we do it. Yeah, we sell journals, on paper.
That's cool. I think the journal can be a form of the mentor in your life. Yeah. A little perspective and help and wisdom to help tidy things.
I think our 30,000 foot epic goal is to help people tell a better story and to feel like a hero. And whether that's from Letter from the Mentor, or whether it's a journal or something else that we make in the future, that's what we hope to accomplish. And that's why I love Letter from the Mentor, because it's so different. It's content heavy, it's free, and it's a different angle on it. It's instead of me telling you what you should be doing as a hero, I'm just going to come along and be I'm just here to help. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of humans, not a lot of people in life that just come into your life to help you out, especially without expecting something back. Mm-hmm. Or expecting, there's always a catch. It's nope, we're just going to write something. There's no catch. We're just here to help.
Well, one of the things we were talking about in the video today, which should be out next week, is that the mentor is often the hero who's already finished their quest. And instead of using their wisdom and their knowledge to try to accomplish something else on their own, they use their wisdom and their knowledge to help mentor and guide another hero.
Yeah.
It's taking your ability and skill, because you have to be good. The mentor has to be wise. They have to know what they're doing, but it's refocusing that skill. And that's something that we can all do and something we can all look for in our lives to kind of channel that mentor energy or mentor archetype into the people around us.
It's part of the hero's journey. It's you come back, the master of two worlds at the end of the hero's journey, equipped to be an ally and a mentor for future heroes to come. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
Nicole said, I need the letters from the mentor texted to me. I hate accessing my email. We've talked about it.
That's not a bad idea. That can actually do really well.
So this is a little inside baseball. We can email people roughly for free. Texting, you have to pay per text. It can actually get kind of expensive.
That's true.
When we first looked into it, it would have been prohibitively expensive. Yeah. We maybe have some options now. I would love to do, I don't know if we could text the full letter from the mentor. I would kind of love to drop just the occasional...
a quote would be cool.
Yeah, occasional quote, and maybe a mentor bat phone. Well, hey, I'm having a rough day.
Oh, a bat phone?
Yeah, like a mentor, because I do, if you reply to the mentor at theheroesjournal.co, I'm not, or my friend the mentor isn't super great with email, doesn't always respond, but if you reach out in need, you will probably get a message of encouragement back from the mentor. And it would be kind of cool to have a little text line.
That's pretty sweet.
I know.
That's a cool idea. Yeah. Text. Very interesting. Nicole said, even if you text a link to the letter.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just expensive. And rightly so. The reason that they make it so expensive is because they don't want companies... it'd be horrible to go crazy
spamming.
Spamming people's phone numbers.
We are not even that large of a company, and our email list isn't even that large. And we sent 1 million emails last month.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Jeez,
I know. That's not emailing every day. That's I think we emailed 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. So it gets expensive. There has been talk of like a community group. I don't know if I'm not spilling too many beans here, but we've talked about having like a private Slack or like a private Discord group, as kind of like a cohort, if you will. Like everyone starts their journals roughly around the same time, and like, you know, you kind of go through as like a smaller community. The Heroes Quarters is amazing. We love what we've built there. It's like I think it's one of the most positive places on the internet. It's like a virtual tavern. But we kind of wanted to figure out a way to create, like, maybe outside of Facebook, like just these kind of question groups that are really focused on writing your journal, you know, achieving your quests, being aware of what other people's quests are and how you can help them. And I think maybe in that group, there could be a text, like a daily text.
Right. Or the mentor could be in the Discord and kind of pop in at the right moments.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, obviously, so it's more affordable for us. It might be something that like that group would have to pay for together. We never like really finalize anything, which is why I think I feel okay.
Yeah, this is all like in the realm of things we think would be cool, but we don't know what to do with quite yet.
Yeah. So
I do have to just say, Megan, that was really kind for you to write that. Megan said the mentor responded to something she posted when there was a screw up at work and she thought she was going to lose her job. So I do remember, or I think my friend the mentor remembers. And it felt like a important moment, and I'm glad that the mentor is able to be there for you in that moment. But thank you. That's really kind. Tanya asked, new Facebook page for the Magic Academy. I think no. I think we don't know. Wow, am I about to do some bean spilling?
Ooh, spill the beans.
I don't know if I am. In the realm of things we have discussed but don't have a great answer for is how the Astoria Magic Academy fits into the current world.
Oh. That's a pretty big bean spill.
That's not, well, I'm just saying,
this isn't canon.
But yeah, this is headcanon. But they all are going to live in some form of interconnected space. And so all I have to say is there's not going to be individual, if maybe we were potentially thinking about doing other tropes in the future, which is a bean you spilled earlier, then one Facebook page.
Yeah, one Facebook page. The hero's journey is a meta fandom. It's like a fandom of many fandoms is the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if the hero's journal kind of turns into a fandom of fandom, if that makes sense.
Jennifer had a great point, which is wizards do like to hang in taverns too. I agree.
Works out. Checks out for me. Yeah, we talked a little bit about like the lore and I don't want to say publishing it, but like making it like official canon. But I think we're at this stage, we're a little afraid to like write ourselves into a corner, if that makes sense. And we don't want to upset people. Obviously, we know that our tribe of heroes is like very passionate about lore and fandoms. And so I think that we're treading very lightly. And we know that there will be a day where we will be able to publish some kind of lore. And who knows, there might be some cool stuff that comes along with that. But for now, we're just making journals.
And Kyle is once again asking for our support on the Heroes Journal Miami Vice.
No.
The only thing I like about the Heroes Journal Miami Vice would be the color scheme.
No guns.
Yeah.
The problem with Miami Vice is there's too many guns.
Yeah.
And it's not really our vibe right now. But Kyle just keeps saying the guns can be bananas. Which makes it feel somehow worse than guns.
It's the Heroes Journal Miami Vice, but if Miami Vice was a Donkey Kong game.
Yeah. Dude, LL just gave Kyle a huge compliment. Kyle's on point with the laughing comments today. Love it. Wait, what?
One Facebook page to rule them all.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's golden. I mean, you know how to please me. One journal to rule them all. Laura, LL just goes, yep, no guns.
We spill beans, not guns.
There you go. This was a really, really fun live stream. I feel like I just sat here and just like was on a soapbox the whole time. But we had a really
was
good,
great.
We got into some really good content, some really good conversations.
I know. These comments are amazing.
Did you guys see how I changed the name of the live stream to?
Wednesday live stream with.
If you reload it.
What did you do?
I'm reloading. Nick and Zach live podcast. Nice. Yeah. It's kind of true.
That's good. Cool. Well, any final remarks? Is there any? Oh, we should make a plug for the Facebook event.
Yeah. Facebook event is live.
Yeah.
It's it's not. We're not. We'll still share the information everywhere, but that Facebook event is going to be a centralized place for us to talk about the Kickstarter, the Astoria Magic Academy, get all of the updates. And it's just it's a great way for us to build some excitement leading up to Kickstarter. So,
Yeah. Whole lot of fun. I can't believe we already have. How many people are in there already? It's at 422 right now. Now it's 438.
ooh,
So really climbing. Yeah, so full disclosure, I think for Royal Purple we had about 1,000 people that were either going or interested in going to this event. Now remember, this isn't happening for another couple of weeks, but we already have about half of that.
Which is awesome.
Which is super, super exciting. So we're gonna try and get that number as high as we can. We're gonna really push for the event here. But unlike Royal Purple, there's not an early access code, because what happens when you drop an early access code is you get a bunch of spammers
it was really bad.
in your Facebook event.
Nick and Kyle were live streaming, and I was literally deleting
Yeah.
profiles and links left and
we
right.
got like straight up target.
Somebody, it was really rough. Somebody literally like recreated a version of our website.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like stole our images of the journal and like stole our artwork, and we're posting it like buy here. So shout out to John Combs.
Yeah. Scammers. Yeah. Luckily, we're linking to a Kickstarter, so hopefully that helps some of the security around it.
Yeah.
But we'll probably warn people as time goes on.
Well, we
don't want that to happen.
winding down, but Andy says hello from Skyline Frankfurt in Germany.
Well, hello, Andy.
Yeah.
I've been to Frankfurt. Well, I've been to the airport. You probably have
Same,
to.
yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Sign up for the Facebook event. Oh, and Andy, this is really important for you.
I was gonna say
No!
I teed you up for that. I teed you up for
I know.
that.
I just got on. Andy, I have good news for you. In Frankfurt, this is some big beans. Big beans spilling here. Andy, I'm not sure
For
if
the
you've
first time.
for the first time ever since our last Kickstarter, we are offering the Hero's Journal to anyone in the world, asterisks, anyone in the world, or at least anyone outside the U.S., to get the Astoria Magic Academy. We have been a little terrified to expand into international shipping, to be honest, because it gets very expensive. But because Kickstarter is kind of like a limited window, and because the Kickstarter community is so global, we wanted to open it up to anyone. So we have been getting we've probably gotten 300 emails over the last 2 or 3 years about people wanting it from different countries who we're just not really able to send it to. So they usually want the journal so bad that they have to contact someone in the United States, have them buy it, and then have them ship it to them, which is kind of sad. So for the first time ever, Andy, if you don't have a Hero's Journal and you want a Hero's Journal, all you got to do is back our Kickstarter, and we will send you one. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
It's exciting.
we'll figure out the shipping nightmare later. But we just wanted to share this thing with the entire world, not just the friends here in the U.S. So we're excited. And Andy, I hope you get your journal in Frankfurt. What if Andy's just from the United States, but he's flying back?
Yeah. I don't know if you can right now.
Yeah, that's true. There's probably some kind of travel restriction. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is journals will be seen and used around the world. We have a cool heat map or it's not a heat map, but it's like a what would you call it, Kyle? With the dots on the map. Would a heat map be right? There's a map with markers of everyone in the United States who has a journal, and it's amazing to look at. It's mind blowing, but I can't imagine seeing one of the whole world. That'd be
Pretty sweet.
That's unbelievable. So anyway, we'll see what happens, but we're going global, And we've been trying to sign off for like the last 10 minutes. We're actually going to do it this time. All right.
So happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy